Servus, Männer. I just woke up and the first thing I did is I checked the news. I want to give you another little update about what happened in Berlin during the anti-government protests. So I haven't checked everything yet, but my last video I ended with, that the city of Berlin or the police they started to make arrests and to end the demonstration because they accused the organizers and the protesters that they didn't conform to the hygiene concept and they didn't wear masks and they didn't social distance enough, blah 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 blah, etc. So, of course, they couldn't make tens of thousands of arrests. I read now that 300 arrests have been made. And the demonstration was maybe stopped. That started at, I think that was the Brandenburg Gate or something. But the proclamation and the speeches around the Victory Column, the street of June the 17th, that took place nonetheless. Maybe not everybody who wanted to be there could be there because this demonstration that, this march that should lead there was stopped, but people went there independently or on other routes anyway. So tens of thousands of people were then gathered around the Victory Column, and that stayed rather peaceful. The police, as far as I have read now, didn't make arrests there. So that means the protest overall was not stopped. The demonstration or the march there was stopped. But as I said, people either were there before already or they came via alternative routes to that destination. And as I said, so there were so many different people there, and in the news they write now about right-wingers, but I think 90%, 95% of the people there are these anti-vaxxer hippie guys, so calling them right-winged, and also the conspiracy theory stuff. I repeatedly said that of course I do not agree with what many of these people say, but I think that's not really the point here anymore. And I also think that a lot of the people who go to these protests, they're very aware of the fact that there are people there that have peculiar opinions and they don't necessarily agree with everything they say or find it even a bit funny or cringy. But I think many have come to the conclusion that at the moment in Germany we have bigger problems than ideological purity or having the exact same worldview or something like that. But many people have come to the conclusion that what our government is doing right now is very dangerous. It could lead or it could set a precedent to restrict our freedoms and take away basic rights that are guaranteed by our constitution. And this is what brings them together, and not because they all agree on everything, or even agree on very fundamental things, like whether or not the world is flat or something like that. Okay, so I also read that a couple of actual right-wingers, so this time this is true, they kind of tried to storm the Reichstag building in Berlin, and they made it until the stairs, which is, I guess, a great achievement if you consider that it was probably protected. So they have the black, white, and red flag. That is the imperial German flag, and they made it until the stairs and took a couple of pictures there. This is what I gathered so far. And of course, the left-wing establishment and the journalists are now in uproar. They they are our Heiko Maas, our foreign minister, for example, he said that this is a shame for Germany, and I think this is mainly a symbolic victory of the right. Yeah, they could make it until the stairs of the Reichstag, and they took a couple of pictures there. Yes, nice symbolic victory for them. Okay, great. But of course, this doesn't have any actual effect. This is just for show. But yeah, it's what they wanted. All right. So this is a little update. So you see, the event was of course not stopped. Yeah, some of my audiences might have gotten that impression, but this was the status of the news. This was the state of affairs before I went to bed, and I didn't want to stay awake all night. So now in the morning, I give you the second up or the third, yeah, the next update, and yeah. So the demonstration was stopped, but the speeches could take place and this proclamation. And I guess some of the organizer said now of this Stuttgart Querdenken group that organized these speeches, that they are staying there actually. That this now becomes a protest camp, and they will not leave. And yeah, I'm very interested in how that goes on, or how that story unfolds. I will let you know if I find out something else. If that really becomes a permanent protest camp, and I think they demanded the German government to step down, and they call themselves now something like a gathering or an assembly for the creation of a new constitution. Yeah, so as you know, Germany doesn't have a real constitution. Western Germany had a Grundgesetz, and that had always, and I even learned that in school, had just a temporary character until we reunite and an actual constitution can be formulated. But then people said, oh, the Grundgesetz is so great, let's just keep it. So yeah, now they say they want a real constitution, so verfassungsgebende Versammlung, a constitution giving gathering. Yeah, that's what they probably want now. So these are just some slogans I have heard. I have not really heard any fundamental news about that. These are just some buzzwords that are flying around, and yeah, I will find out in the coming days what is really going on there, if they actually stay in Berlin and have some kind of a protest camp, or if that is just yeah, if they want to make themselves more important than they are. Let's see. Okay, so I plan to keep you informed, of course. Now I'm gonna have some breakfast. Servus, Kameraden.